everything that they are. They're so much smarter. They're so much stronger. They're so much more. They're so much more rational and developed, and their technology is so far superior to us and stuff. And if they ever wanted to wipe us out in one fell swoop, I mean, we wouldn't even have a chance. I mean, we could fire nukes at these guys, and they've probably got weapons that completely make them useless.
Neutralize.
You know, yeah, and it's
So so the colony you stayed in now, do they have a lot of? Where do they mostly live? Do they mostly live underwater, or
well,
they?
well, they didn't tell me a lot. See, there was a lot that happened to get to this point where I could stay there, because normally, especially when I was there, they were having a big huge celebration in that particular area, and which I don't know if I was traveling to different dimensions, because it almost seemed that way, but it seemed like the place where I was at had all the buildings and all this stuff, but it didn't seem right. There was like a haze to it, like this green haze, and I come to find out that it has something to do with the fish people, where they live, and I guess some of these places where they live, they have the phosphorescent light in the caves and stuff where they live, and they now these are the ones that remain natural. These are the ones that look like fish people. If you saw them in the water, you'd say, "Hey, that's a fish person," you know. But these are the ones, they live naturally. They live just like the fish out in the ocean. They don't have earbuds. They don't have iPhones. They don't wear clothes. They don't do anything. They just live their lives just like the normal, I guess you could say, wild animals that they are. But I mean, you can't really call them animals. You know, they're smarter than us. You know, so I don't know what to call them in that respect. But wow, they are truly amazing and beautiful. They're just amazing when they show you what they really look like. I mean,
what do they really look
um,
So they're humanoid?
oh yeah, they're human as far as I can tell.
Well, I mean the base,
yeah,
2 arms, 2 legs.
yeah. Well, like, again, as far as I can tell, because the thing that bothers me is when these people, when I meet them and I talk to them and stuff, and I ask them questions about all of this going on. See, for some reason, they always call me a krill, and which, you know, it's a krill. It's like a shrimp or something, right? And so every time I saw one, even when I was down there for this celebration that they were having, they would say that I would say I'm a human, and they're like, "No, you're a krill," you know, and I'd be like, "No, man, I'm a human. What are you talking about? How can I be a krill?" But they saw something that I didn't see, and I still haven't really understood it because I've got such a big mouth. They don't talk to me as much as they used to. It's not that they're really mad at me or anything. They don't like me talking about this because they're thinking that somebody's going to listen or somebody's going to hear it, and somebody who knows something about something, because those people are out there. They really are. They're listening.
People like me?
No, just people in general, people that maybe aren't a person. You know, these people hear things just like we hear, and they see things like we hear, and they hear me talking, and they're kind of aware of me. You know, they know about me and stuff because of what happened in the ocean, and they're aware, and they were trying to help me along with this and all this, but man, they're violent. I mean, they can be extremely violent to one another. There's a pecking order that, you know, I mean, it's for someone like me, I'd be constantly fighting with other fish people or whatever you want to call them. I wouldn't be able to handle it down there. They too aggressive. Everybody's in their face. There's, you know, everybody's in your face. Everybody threatens everybody and all this.
So it's even worse than being a human.
Well, I mean,
It
it's
sounds more stressful and more.
well, at least then they know who to be afraid of. You know,
Wow.
you're afraid of the ones who have shark DNA. You're the you stay away from killer whales. Stay away from these ones that are the ones that have the cross DNA. That's how all of this stuff started in the first place. Um,
Had what DNA?
oh, so it's this it's this you've heard of Vril, right?
Yeah.
The Vril Society
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
this, and you kind of have an idea what it
Right,
is, right?
yeah.
Well, Vril is more than one thing. Vril is life, to some people. Vril is life. It's change, and it's also a substance. It's a substance that is here on Earth that most people don't even know about. But this substance acts just like there was a movie that that guy, what is his name? Eli Roth did a couple of years ago with Nazi Germans and stuff, and the people in the movie were trying to shut down this place that was making zombies. With this black ooze that was coming out of the earth, and well, that black ooze is kind of a real thing.
So the black goo.
The black goo is
So
kind
the
of
black goo is Vril?
that's Vril, but
Or it's
but
called Vril?
mhm.
Okay.
That's and
What
it
does this substance do?
it changes you. It makes you stronger. It makes you smarter. It makes you access parts of your brain that you've never accessed before. It turns you into like a superior being. It changes your body. It changes your mind. It changes everything.
And it can be found on where? Just
There was in the movie that I saw. They found it in this mine in Germany or something, or in Spain or something. Then the Nazis found it and they started putting it down everybody's throats, and everybody started changing into like these zombie type creatures being brought back to life, and it's kind of like that, but through technology, the German technology and stuff. That's in its raw form, the zombies and all that stuff. When you manipulate it a little bit and clean it up a little bit, and then inject it into people, it becomes a much more refined version of the Vril. There's not too many setbacks. You're not going to lose part of your brain, taking it. You're going to again be smarter. Your longevity will increase. It's just like vampirism almost. But the thing is you have to maintain it.
right.
You have to maintain
Like
these
an addiction.
well these suits that these fish people and the lizard people, the suits that they wear, they require maintenance, and the maintenance is they have to either eat or drink human DNA in order for the suit itself to stay healthy. And so I mean, it's basically they're vampires, and that's a real thing. They have to be vampires if they want to live up here on Earth. Now the ones that are in the ocean, they don't wear the suits.
Okay.
They are just normal, everyday, swimming around, living their life.
So is there like two different factions or more than two factions of these fish people?
Oh, sure, they're all over the place. They're
Well, I mean,
everywhere.
there's some that chose to live naturally and some
Sure.
that choose to
Yeah.
do-
To
mess
live.
around with this technology and
Yeah.
eat people.
Oh yeah, yeah. And
Do they have conflicts? The two different.
oh sure. More so
are
with the
they
fish
like
people.
organized, like
Oh, yeah.
politically or?
Oh yeah, there's all kinds of politics involved. They are in our government. Again, I can see which ones are and which ones aren't. And
If you can give me an example.
I don't know. Let's see. Adam Schiff is one.
Oh, he's a fish person?
Yeah, he's a fish
He
person.
totally looks like one.
Yeah, right. Yeah. From what I understand, he's actually an octopi. His DNA was crossed with octopus. Yeah, he's yeah, that's my
Okay.
understanding. He's
Yeah,
actually
I
not
can
the.
definitely see that.
Yeah, he's got his hands and everything, right? But yeah, and then no, I can't really talk about that. They, there's people aware of me that, you know, I don't know who's gonna hear this really, so. But yeah, that's one example. Is I'd say like Adam Schiff. Um, there's a couple of other examples. There's MSNBC anchor, the one that was real mean to Trump when she did an interview with him. You know what I'm talking about?
Leslie Stahl, the
I don't.
CBS older
Maybe.
lady.
No, she's not. She's younger, but she really gave it to Trump. He was doing an interview with her. He was like, "You're a nasty, nasty woman."
Nancy.
You know?
Oh, that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I don't know
that
her
was.
name. I don't know.
I don't either, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I kind of looked into her eye and said, "Hey, wait a minute, something's going on there." But
Interesting.
but it's getting harder and harder for me to tell. The longer that I've been away from that whole situation, you know, it's not that it's fading away. I'm sure that if I, you know, put a little concentration into it, you know, I'd still be able to do it better. But it's just sporadic. Sometimes I see one of these things, and sometimes I don't. And it's not like it used to be.
So, what's their origin story? If you could tell the audience, or you know, I guess whatever they told you about that they were already here, and then some extraterrestrials dumped some magic dust in the ocean, basically.
Yeah. Well, what happened was these extraterrestrial beings, which I can't remember the name of them. She said it, but it was real weird, and I wouldn't be able to say it anyway. They used to. It's just like that story in Prometheus, the part of Alien. It's that story. They used to
seed the planet.
Yeah, not just ours. They do it all over the all over the universe. They send them to anywhere. Just to, you know, it's basically each time they do it, it's an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they shoot them all over the place, hoping that life starts. And with this Vril, they really can. You know, and that's what they were shooting all over the place. This Vril stuff.
Okay.
And but the Vril, when they, you know, came to Earth and shot it, the thing that was different was we already had life here, and they were shooting it on dead planets that didn't have any life, and we already had life. So, but the strange thing that happened is when you shoot these at a planet, it's supposed to take over the whole planet, but in our case, the life that was already here kind of fought back and contained what this Vril that was shot into the water. And what it did, it contained it. It didn't stop it, but it contained it to like a 500-mile area. And everything within that 500-mile area was affected. And this was like a long, long time ago, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, and
Millions.
yeah,
Maybe.
and they developed and they went in a different direction than us, and they were
This
the
was
ones
before humans existed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then the weird thing was, I mean, when you look at King Tut and you look at all these leaders and Ramses and all of these leaders, these groups, you know, the Egyptians, you know, all these people, Carpathians, you know, all of these different people. A lot of them weren't people. A lot of them were from the sea. You know, they were interacting with us the whole time, and they were so much smarter and, you know, and easily manipulated us because of their intelligence, and became our leaders, and we didn't know it. And some of the, back in the day, you know, back in the times of Egypt and stuff, it was a lot easier to show people, you know, some kind of technology or something amazing, you know, to get them to bow down to you and say, "You're my God," you know, and it's a lot harder to do these days. You know, it's a lot harder to convince people that things like that are real because of special effects. Um, People think, oh, look at that, oh, that's CGI. You know, he's that guy right there. He's lifting this rock over his head, and that rock's got to be 18 tons. You know, there's no way. And then you find out that, hey, wait a minute, that's real. That wasn't fake. That guy really did lift 18 tons. Holy shit, you know. It's yeah, it's just craziness. But the origin about them is again they're very
So they were the
the fish.
aquatic life that was
Mhm.
caught
Mhm.
in the 500-mile
Mhm.
radius of grill that
Mhm.
was.
Thousands of years ago. Yeah, thousands of years ago.
Where was this area?
I don't even know. They talked about it, that I don't know where. I couldn't show you on a map or anything. I have an idea, but I
Maybe.
think it's somewhere in the Mediterranean, but
Okay.
but I'm not 100% sure. But like I said, that it was contained and they developed, and their species was tracked, and you know, given knowledge and all this stuff from the people who seeded the planet and all of this, and then it didn't really affect any of us. I mean, they crossbreed with us, but they the way that they do it, they make you change into something else before they'll be with you in the first place. They won't be with a human because
And was that what she was trying to do to you?
yeah, it's crazy that when when I was in the water and I saw that beautiful woman in front of me, you know, it's almost like she expected something back for saving my life. You know, she was the one who saved me, but but it's almost like she expects something from me in return, and
Did
I
she really save you though? I mean,
I
you
can't
said
tell.
you heard a voice telling you what to
Mm.
do.
That wasn't her voice either.
That's
that
what
was,
I'm saying.
Yeah, that was
like
not her
God
voice.
or an angel, maybe.
No, it was a friend of mine who had
Ah.
passed away
Ah.
like 10 years earlier,
Yeah.
named Timmy Green.
Wow.
And yeah, he killed himself, and that was the voice that I heard
He
was him.
saved you. Huh?
Yeah, told me
Wow.
it's not time for you to be here yet.
Wow. But, and he's the one who told you to put your knees to your chest and all that stuff?
Everything, and he wouldn't known
Okay.
any of that stuff, you know. He died like when he was 21 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, he wouldn't have known anything about scuba diving either, you know.
But
I,
he did, apparently.
Yeah.
In the afterlife.
Yeah, but that bothers me that it was him because he killed himself. You wouldn't think if you're talking to God or you know or having some kind of heavenly thing, you know, talk to you that somebody who killed themselves would be able to talk to you at all.
Well,
It's always
maybe
taught
that
to
was
us.
part of his, working off his suicide. You know, like,
Maybe.
it's good deed for.
Purgatory, right?
Yeah, something like that. Who
Yeah.
knows? But so let's see. Where do we want to take this? So you have an ongoing relationship with these beings?
Yeah, yeah. They get mad at me though because I've got this thing where I talk about them where, you know, like it's a normal thing. Now, 90% or maybe more of people don't believe me in the first place. They think of the fish people. This guy's got to be insane, you know. And but if you really look at, I was looking at like, they're like, where could they hide today? Where could they hide in this world that we wouldn't find them? But people don't take into consideration we've only explored 5% of the
Oh,
ocean.
yeah.
5%. I mean, we haven't even been to the bottom of the ocean. And you know, maybe that's where they're at. You know, I don't know exactly where they're at, but I will say this. There are flight patterns where when you, let's say you're taking a flight from the United States to over in Europe, they use the same flight path every time. And in the middle of these flight paths is millions of square miles of uncharted waters. Every once in a while you'll see like a trawler go do some fishing or something in a big boat or whatever, and into these zones, but not very far, and these huge, massive areas where no boats go, nothing flies over it, nothing, no one there to examine you, no nothing. I would think that they probably live someplace like that, someplace where nobody goes. Not someplace where it's heavily traveled by humans or anything like that. That doesn't make any sense. They're trying to hide their existence, and here I am talking about them, and same thing with the lizard people, but there are people who've written books about that. It all just seems like this. It seems like this imaginative story. Oh, the lizard people living. Oh, it sounds just like Land of the Lost. It must be the Sleestaks. And they're living over here in Antarctica and these heated places underneath the ice that were created. Just like in that movie, Ice Age, with Disney, and which leads me to believe that these people at Disney, these people at all these big companies, they know all about them. They put the information right in front of your face because they know you're not going to believe it in the first place. So, so they'd rather just put the information in your face and you call it fake, rather than have you, maybe that's true. Well, that's not what they want. They want you to think that it's fake, that it's a fantasy, that it's some delusion, and it's not. And if you knew how many of them there were and how common they are in certain parts of the United States, and you knew that 15 people that you talked to during the day were fish people and you didn't know it, or lizard people, you wouldn't believe it. You'd say everybody I met today was a human. You don't know the difference. There's really not too many of them, I don't think, in the cold regions so much. They tend to be down here in the warm, but they're everywhere. They're everywhere. If there's water there, they're there. It doesn't even have to be salt water either. They adapt very quickly to their surroundings, and that's one of their big strengths is the adaptation. They can adapt quickly to any environment. Scary fast. The things we would have to do to go to the places where they can go, we wouldn't be able to get down there. We wouldn't be able to go there. Just because we don't have the technology to get where they're at. Plus, the lizards, from my understanding, is where they live. It's hot. It's like tropical, but it's also confined. So there's a lot of water. There's a lot of plant life, a lot of everything, and then but that's really deep in the earth. Apparently, their air has a lot of methane in it, and it's from the ground or whatever. It seeps through the ground, and that's what makes them so strong. They're so deep in the earth, and then plus their lungs are super strong because they have to deal with the methane and plus the pressure, because we're not talking like 50 feet down in the ground. We're talking miles and miles. The type of places where we can't even drill to yet.
Wow.
It's I think the deepest hole right now that's ever been drilled, from what I understand, is like 30,000 feet or something, and they can't get drill bits hard enough to go any further.
Right.
30,000 feet, that ain't nothing. To the middle of the earth, that's thousands of miles.
Right.
My God, they've only got 33,000 feet. That's nothing. How much longer is that going to take? But some hole in Russia, they keep pulling up those tubes with they keep going. Yeah, it's 30,000 feet. It's not that much, but they live there. Who's going to believe it? And then you talk about the fish people there in the oceans. They have cities all over the place. But like I said, they're places where most people can't go. And, phosphorescent lighting a lot of times because there's entrances to these places, and then they have these huge, massive places where they stay, but only one small little entrance that you can go to get there, and deep
how
down
do
in
you
the
know
water.
this? You've been there, or they described it?
I was there once. I was there one time, and
Talk
it was
about that?
more of a psychic experience than it was
yeah.
a physical experience, because they do this. They've been doing this thing to me every once in a while that they take me somewhere and I can see everybody. I can talk to everybody, but I'm not really mobile. I'm like stuck in one place or something, so I don't really know what's going on. I don't know if it's some kind of mind link thing. I know they've got all kinds of stuff like that, but I don't know if it's a hive mind thing. The krill, they have the hive mentality kind of where they can communicate with pretty much anybody psychic, but they, especially themselves, but they yeah, hive mind is that's the krill. I found that out. If I'd known that, I probably wouldn't have let her bite me if I could stop it. Um, but
Because they're like connected to you now.
kind
all
of,
the time.
yeah, they know where I'm at. They know what I'm doing. I mean, but yeah, it's continuous too. It's all the time. It doesn't shut off. But I hear we talk. They communicate with me and stuff like that, and I just have like conversations and stuff with them. And sometimes they ask questions. They just want to know what's going on. Just ask me about feelings mostly. It's one thing they don't really understand about humans.
That seems to be something they have in common with the extraterrestrial. Well, they might be extraterrestrials, but
Yeah.
they seem to be very interested in our emotions.
Always, our emotions and our bacteria, the bacteria in our body. But the
That's
reason, yeah, well, the reason they like the bacteria is because they've been monitoring bacteria for a long time, thousands of years. It's much easier to see the differences in bacteria from, 10,000 years ago until now. I mean, there's been a lot more mutations and all this other stuff. It's been a lot more going on with that stuff than there is with us, really. But because we have all that stuff in our bodies, it's interesting, I think, to them maybe to figure out what it's actually doing to our body and to our DNA and to our physical makeup and all kinds of things like that. But
It's pretty freaky.
yeah, it's scary. Their technology, man, scary. They have stuff. They have wormholes are a real thing, and they can take cameras, little tiny cameras that are so small that you couldn't see them if they were right in front of you. I mean, you could have 10 of them in front of your face right now, and you wouldn't even see them. And when they're recording, they just don't record like a video camera or something. They record in 3D. They can monitor. They can move the picture around. They can do all kinds of stuff. They can change the angles. They can do all kinds of weird stuff to it. But that's these little wormhole cameras that if they're watching somebody, like I said, they watch them. But they do it these wormholes. And those are all over the place. The Stargate thing is probably true. I've never really figured that one out or talked to them about it, but it's my understanding that Stargates are real. They're a real thing. They're a technology that they put all over the universe, and it's basically just like Stargate SG-1. But
Right. Yeah, I've heard that.
but there's it's just weird, all this stuff that they feed us as a fantasy, like the Stargate one or the Stargate SG-1. They feed us this stuff almost intentionally, this information that's true, but they feed it to us in a way to where we'd never believe it. If somebody said, do you think that's real? No, that ain't real. Stargate, come on, that's just a TV show.
Right.
It's part of how they manipulate us. They keep us stupid. And it really bothers.
And yet they're exposing themselves. It's kind of a weird paradox.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's not it's really not intentional. They were always telling me to keep my mouth shut. I mean, and then they said it's always, well, nobody's going to believe you anyway. That's another thing. No one's going to believe you. So, you know, and they're right. You know, people don't believe it. It wouldn't matter if you had one and showed it to someone. One of these human or chimeras or whatever you want to call them. You know, they if you showed one to them, they say, "Oh, it's a special effect." If you got it on film, "Oh, it's a special effect."
It's pretty ironic
yeah.
that you're a special
Yeah,
effects guy.
exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things that bothers me the most about this.
Weird.
It is weird. Yeah, especially doing it for so long, and everybody knows about it, and then when they hear about this stuff, they think I'm nuts. You've seen too many movies, Tommy. You know, you watched, you know, the Man from the Black Lagoon, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, too many times, but yeah, they're real. They're 100% real. I hope they show themselves soon. It's my understanding that the extraterrestrials are kind of getting into the mood where they're wanting to expose themselves. And I think that if that happens, I think that the fish people will probably expose themselves, and also the lizards might, but the lizards they're just a whole different thing than the fish people. They're very aggressive. They're very dominant. They know it. They know how much smarter and stronger and faster and better they are than us. And I don't think that they would have a problem just destroying all of us and freaking taking over the entire planet if they wanted to. But I think that they do it more with their brain than they do their brawn. You know, they get into our political systems all over the world. They manipulate everything. They with these suits, they can look like anybody they want.
The lizards? Or
Yeah.
Well, the fish people too, I guess.
I don't know. It's weird because the lizards are a lot more.
More advanced.
I wouldn't say that. Well, yeah, I would say they were a little bit more advanced than the fish people. I mean, the fish people have their technology, but they don't have everything. Their technology, it's more advanced than ours, but it's still limited by extraterrestrial standards. You know, they don't give them just any technology because they don't know what they're going to do with it, and there's all these rules and space rules, and there's lots of races up there and stuff, and there are these rules that you have to follow with certain planets, but the thing that comes to us is it's not normal for a planet to have more than one like main predator species.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have the humans, we have the fish people, and we have the lizards. See, that's not a common thing in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually one dominant,
Right.
you know, race that rules
The
over a
apex
planet.
predator.
Right. They've wiped the other ones out. Or whatever, you
Top of
know,
the
and
food chain.
yeah, there's usually not three different, you know, different type of races that all have technology. They all have a political system. They all have, you know,